Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up three very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls.
It's the story of a man named Brady who was busy with three boys of his own. They were foremen, living all together, yet they were all alone. Till the one day when the lady met this fellow, and they knew that it was much more than a hunch, that this group must somehow form a family. That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch. That's the way we became the Brady Bunch.
Hello, and welcome back to the rAM Show. I am your host, Anthony Bamford, and today we've got a great show featuring segments from the major ones. They've been working hard. Let's start off with a look at Berks East Gymnastics.
Gymnastics, a popular sport that involves many flips and tricks, is approaching their yearly competition season. However, COVID-19 has caused their season to be delayed this year. Today, we are taking an inside look at Berks East Gymnastics, a local gym that has had to make changes to how they're training because of the coronavirus.
I think that it's actually given us more time to prepare our athletes to have more confidence going into season, even though it is a little different than what we've experienced in the past.
Even with a late start to the gymnastics season, the gymnasts and coaches are still staying positive and finding all of the pros in the roadblocks that they have come across.
I think one of the big positives are we can prepare more and we have more time to get our skills, especially because we were out longer with COVID.
Many new safety precautions have been put into place to ensure the safety of all of the gymnasts, coaches, and parents that enter the gym.
So we do daily cleanings, bleach, vacuuming. Everybody must wear a mask when they enter and exit the building. We take their temperatures, and when the kids are in their classes or in their designated groups, we ask that they stay physically distanced just to be able to keep everybody safe and healthy.
The gymnasts and coaches are all excited and patiently awaiting the arrival of the first competition of the season as they continue to train hard and cannot wait to show off all of their hard work. Reporting for the rAM Show, I'm Gianna Valone.
Now that we've seen how local sports club is handling COVID, let's see how local businesses are handling the closure of Bridge Street.
The city of Phoenixville stands quiet. Bridge Street, the once most bustling artery of commerce in Phoenixville, now lays empty. No cars roam its streets, and on this particularly rainy day, no pedestrians walk its sidewalks. On the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the city of Phoenixville, in a desperate attempt to save the city's many indoor bars and restaurants, closed down the street on June 9th, 2020 to provide outdoor seating for the many eateries that keep the town economy stable. While many bars and restaurants, along with their many patrons, are supportive of the idea, some on Bridge Street are less than thrilled.
I don't think it has done too much for retail stores. I think it's...
Jake Kunch is the owner of Nerd Merch, a retail and event center specializing in pop culture, which sits directly on Bridge Street.
At first there was a lot more foot traffic and people coming in to shop, whereas now it's mostly people just looking to get dinner, no one's out really shopping, and there's no parking on the street. So as far as people calling in, that has been an issue that we have to overcome.
COVID-19 has already drastically challenged and changed Nerd Merch's style of business throughout the pandemic, and Bridge Street closing is a move that doesn't exactly help. While it does give the bars and restaurants a space to seat their patrons, it does so while making everything complicated for everyone else. For Jake, the best solution is to open it back up again.
And do you think that Bridge Street should be closed permanently?
No.
Alright.
No, I disagree with that.
Alright.
The Phoenixville City Council has voted on keeping Bridge Street closed. What this means for businesses like Nerd Merch is yet to be seen. Reporting for the rAM Show, I am Daniel Hijazi.
For those who are old enough, do you remember when you first learned how to drive? Crazy, right? But in a world where staying at home is the new norm, learning to drive can be a little bit different. Let's find out how new drivers are learning in the pandemic.
Today we are interviewing a local 16-year-old who's just learning how to drive now during the pandemic. Let's go see what he has to say. Driving during a pandemic affected you learning how to drive?
So I got my permit in January, and that was 2 months before the pandemic started, and I didn't have much driving experience before that. And then when the pandemic started, there was really no reason for me to go and drive anywhere because everything was shut down.
How often do you usually drive right now?
Right now, I only drive to places like work and if I need to go to like Target or the grocery store.
How often would you usually drive beforehand?
Before the pandemic, I probably drove more often than I do now because I would drive to like my friends' houses and stuff like that, but I don't really go there anymore.
How would you classify yourself as a driver with the pandemic affecting you learning how to drive?
Well, since I couldn't really have any driving lessons before or during the pandemic, I'm still kind of in the process of learning, even though I have my license. And things like driving in the rain are tough, and like merging on the highway, I'm still not too comfortable with that yet.
When the pandemic finally ends, do you think that will affect how you're still driving?
I think it will, because then I'll be able to, drive more places because more things are going to be opened up. So I think it'll be overall better.
There you have it. With things being shut down and less places to go, new drivers are being negatively affected by the pandemic as they can't get the same driving experience. Reporting from the rAM Show, I'm Matt Pytel.
From driving down the road to driving up the field, let's see what a former coach has to say about the Eagles in the NFC East.
There is no hiding the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are just plain bad this year, but with the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cowboys being even worse, the division is wide open for the Eagles to take. The Eagles could win the NFC East and make the playoffs with one of their worst records ever. We now talk to former football coach Tommy Mellon and what he thinks about the Eagles and their playoff chances going forward. Being in the worst division in football, the question is always asked whether the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East.
But the best of the worst. It's a terrible division, and they're the best team in the worst division in football, which doesn't say a lot.
While there may not be many players playing well for the Birds, everyone has to have a favorite player, right?
Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham? Yeah. Why?
Because he very rarely takes a play off. I wish he would cover the outside sometimes, but...
When asked who was to blame for this season's lack of winning, this former coach pointed his finger at the coaching staff.
I think Doug Peterson could do a better job calling plays. I think Jim Schwartz's defense plays too soft. So probably coaching more than players.
I then asked if he believed that the Eagles could still win the division this year.
Yes. It's that simple.
When asked if the Birds could turn this season around, he had a very resounding answer.
No. They're going to win the division, but they're going to be one and done.
It's rainy and gloomy out like the NFC East and their current standings, but with the Philadelphia Eagles looking like the frontrunners to win the division, they could make the playoffs and win the NFC East with that horrible record. I'm Thomas Mellon for RAM TV, signing off.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a content creator? Well, Night Fox is here to give you some valuable insight.
Today, I will be interviewing Night Fox about how he started YouTube and what it's like.
Well, it kind of came as a collection of a bunch of failed attempts at life. My parents always had like a plan for me growing up of, hey, you need to be a doctor. And I always had the grades for it, but when I went off to college, I found I hated all the classes. I tried a lot of other different things, and I always liked filming and video editing, and I thought, hey, you know what, let's try YouTube, why not? And that's kind of how it came to be. The hardest thing about being a YouTuber is probably the time that you have to spend to do YouTube. Knowing what's going on in the world as far as like trends and stuff like that, you got to be able to follow it. You got to devote time to editing and filming and coming up with ideas. And a lot of people don't realize that it takes a ton of time to, like, I work harder doing YouTube than I had any other job that I've ever had before, simply because of the amount of time that actually goes into making every single video.
Night Fox made his first YouTube video 5 years ago on December 31st, 2014, and has been making videos ever since. He started with Minecraft and moved on to playing Roblox.
I love making videos and then seeing all that feedback from the people watching saying how much they enjoy it. That's always a very rewarding experience for me. I think that's probably my favorite part about it. If I see like a really well edited video and I know what goes on behind the scenes, like I respect that. And like some of these people will do it for years at a time. Some people see no growth. Some people see a lot of growth. And just that constant hustle of trying to better themselves and not giving up. That's what's inspiring. You should definitely try it. The earlier the better. Get time to hone your skill and, try to really figure out what you want to do. Just treat it like you would a hobby. And that's kind of how I've always approached it. It's a hobby that can in turn pay you back. Definitely think if you have a little bit of interest to go for it and try it.
This is Stephen Voigt signing off.
Let's finish this episode of the RAM Show off by taking a look at the Philly School District.
The School District of Philadelphia is currently active in online learning in their Head Start program with ages 3, 4, and 5.
With us being online, they provided Chromebooks to all of the students, and the teachers, we have the MacBooks, and we're able to have class with them overnight.
Teachers have been instructed to follow a specific schedule to keep young learners engaged and learning up to speed.
So the schedule is where they do like a half hour in the morning, and then we have a small group for about a half hour, and then there's another large group at the end of the day.
The preschool curriculum has been modified in order to accommodate to the time limit of an online school day and the learning capability of the children.
Basically, we're sticking to the same curriculum, but we're trying to keep it within the time limits. So some of the lessons are shortened, and some of the lessons we have to revamp just for online.
Though the District of Philadelphia is doing an excellent job when it comes to guiding young scholars, it is difficult to teach social skills through a screen.
And we want to keep it virtual but still offer socialization, a time where they can socialize. I think just giving that free time, not so much to do a specific assignment, but just a time where they can actually just talk to each other and get to know each other a little better.
The Head Start program will resume physical learning November 30th and will continue to educate Philadelphia's youth.
That'll do it for this week's episode of The RAM Show. Special thanks to the major ones for putting together a great show, and we will see you soon.